Well, hello everybody. My name is Willie. I'm an alcoholic. First things first here, I got to thank God for allowing me to be here, alive and well enough to be with you all today. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I wouldn't be alive here if it wasn't for Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm just so full of gratitude for all of the 12-step programs because I love watching others recover. Watching everybody pick up their chips here today is just amazing. And I realized what my sponsor seen in me when I first got here. And I was hoping my son would have showed up too. He celebrated 12 years on the 27th of May. You know, it's only but by the grace of God and you people, because I was powerless. And he was doing the same thing I was doing. And I just called you guys up, and about a dozen of you showed up, and 12 stepped him in the middle of January. I'll never forget it, in my yard. And it's really hot in here. So if I start taking my clothes off, that won't offend you guys? Okay, let's go back here. Let's get back to... I grew up on the Lummi Reservation just north of here. You could actually see it right over there, out in the water. Not Lummi Island, we're on a peninsula. We're on Lummi Reservation. And I'm one of these kids out on the reservation who grew up, and I seen what alcoholism is. All my aunts, uncles, everybody partied and drank, and I swore, I'm never gonna drink. I'm never gonna do drugs. I was one of these kids who was a good kid. And peer pressure. A lot of our, geez, don't do that to your friends. Peer pressure's terrible. I'm one of those guys conditioned for alcoholism. And once I take a drink, I can't stop. And that was the way it was from the beginning. And I didn't start drinking until 14 years old, high school. Ferndale High School, and it took over right from the beginning. And what can I say here? I guess 14, I started drinking, partying, smoking pot. And by the time I was 15, I got a job out on the reservation. I was the night watchman for the Lummi liquor store. 15 years old. Oh, you could drink. And you guys know what happened. I got fired. And this was 15 years old. I bought, like I was saying, I went on self-will right away as soon as I started drinking. I bought my own car when I was 15, and by the time I was 16, I had a car, freaking alcohol, and I had a girlfriend. She was 21 years old. And I was just a wild, crazy kid. Once I started, it just took over. And Oh, what happened? 16 years old, I was, one of my buddies was, he wasn't one of my friends back then, but he is today. One of my buddies he was growing pot, weed. He had a nice greenhouse, great big greenhouse, big as this whole area here. And me and my brother went there, and we thought, let's go get some, because our cousins would always come over and they'd be smoking this Hawaiian or Sensimilia. And me and my brother went there, and that guy got ripped off so many times. He had electrical wire all the way around his. As soon as you touch his greenhouse, you'd get shocked. And me and my brother thought about it for a while. And there was a shovel sitting right there. So we dug a tunnel underground, and we came up inside the greenhouse. I didn't just take an ounce. I took a whole bale. I took it all. Just like being in that liquor store, I couldn't do enough. Just like it says, allergy of the body, obsession of the mind. Once I started, it was just more, never stop. And Fred heard me share there last month at the Third Legacy group up in Bellingham, and he told me to share it exactly the way you shared last time. And this is the way I shared, I guess, somewhat. But and I went to Ferndale High School, and there was a lot of prejudice, and there's just a few natives. A lot of us didn't. But I went to Ferndale High School. But I had all this drugs, and I was handing them. I remember rolling about 500 joints, and I was handing them to everybody. Everybody was my friend, and I'm just so full of gratitude for Alcoholics Anonymous, because I don't know why I stumbled into Alcoholics Anonymous when I was 16 years old. And I went I think I went there because of my friends were court-ordered, and I was the man carrying the bag, and we would go to the Bellingham group down in the pit there back in 1978. And that was my first experience with Alcoholics Anonymous. And, right from the beginning of my drinking, drugging, and I was stumbled into these halls. My higher power guided me to you people. And by the time I was 17 years old, I think I started getting into wrecks, and it was terrible. And I think I bought this one car one time when I was 17. I bought a 1970 Mach 1, just frickin' beautiful. And I started doing cocaine when I was in high school, and the first time I bought this car, I wrecked it the same day. Is this glamorous? No, it's not. It's the path I was leading was, it's just, then by the time I was 18 years old, I got into drinking. I would drink every day. I mean, I didn't stop. Once I started, I'm telling you, I didn't stop. And 18 years old, I started doing cocaine and drinking, and first time I did cocaine, I made a lot of money when I was a kid fishing, and I went and bought an ounce of cocaine. That was a lot back then. And I was back the next day to get more. And I stumbled into, I got a DUI, I think, when I was 19, and I had to go into a treatment program. And I went to this treatment center up and down Dry Dock. There used to be a treatment center upstairs there. It was called Cosmos. And that was my first experience. And I was court ordered to go to meetings and all this. I was on probation, and I got to looking at a schedule one time, and because I was court ordered to go to 8 meetings a month, and I was on probation there in Whatcom County, and I had to go to meetings, so I was in treatment. I think I dragged that treatment center on for like a year or 2 years. I don't know how long. It was an outpatient, but I'll never forget. Everybody wants me to stop. Everybody wants me to quit drinking and everything. And I was sitting in this treatment center, sitting in the bathroom doing drugs, and I'll never forget coming out of the bathroom there one time, and I was just pouring down, dripping sweat. And I'll never forget those people looked at me and said, "What the heck are you on?" And I couldn't say nothing. And I was out. One of my buddies from Lummi there, my buddy Ronnie O, he used to pick me up every night there at my treatment program. We go get drunk, and I just kept drinking and drugging, and so my probation officer suggested I don't know if he suggested, but he court ordered me to get on Antabuse. So I was on Antabuse when I was 19, and I kept drinking. And I used to just turn beet red because of the Antabuse and alcohol, and I was still going to treatment, going to meetings, and I got really, really sick. And I was throwing up, and my buddy had picked me up, and I couldn't stop. I was powerless. Step one, we'd admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Our lives had become unmanageable. It was killing me. Alcohol was killing me. Drinking on that stuff, and I remember coming out of a blackout, and somebody dropped me off at the South Side Hall. I don't even know how I got there. Somebody knocked on the door at the South Side, and this is back in 1981, and there's this one lady that always chaired meetings there, Esther. She was the Aleut lady. She's been sober a long time, and somebody knocked on the door there, and there was nobody at the door. Somebody just went and knocked and left. And I was laying out in the street, on 11th Street there in Southside, outside the meeting, and Esther seen me laying out there. She told her husband Blair and that old timer Chet. That Southside meeting used to be at 6:30 in the morning, and she made those old guys drag me in the meeting, and they dragged me in there, and and I was drunk and sick and throwing up and you know, I almost died from that, and I was sitting there in this meeting, come out of this blackout, and like, holy, and this. Thank you. So there was only like a half a dozen people at that meeting there way back when. You know, a bunch of old timers sitting around, and they all shared already. Then they called on me, and I know of anybody that knows me way back when. I'm a fisherman. I was a fisherman, and I cussed and swore like you wouldn't believe. and they called on me and was like, frickin'. I'm frickin' Willie. I'm a frickin' alcoholic. I'll never forget saying that. Coming out of a blackout, and I said that, and I says, I gotta frickin' quit. I gotta quit doing this damn man abuse. You know. And all those old timers sitting around that meeting, there was, yeah, I think you should. You know, the alcohol and abuse don't mix. and I was like, I gotta frickin' quit. and I did quit doing abuse, but and I kept getting into more trouble and more trouble. And by the time I was 21, I was still court ordered. I was court ordered for 8 years. So back to back. And, you know, I never did stop. And I kept coming back because I had to. I was court ordered to, otherwise I'd get thrown in jail. And, you know, I'm just so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous, stumbling into the rooms. And I think I was at the Northwest group one time up there in Cedarwood. And I heard a message. Somebody, if you keep going to meetings a lot, you'll eventually hear a message. And I'll never forget this man sharing his story. And shoot, he was just like me. And he just shared his truth. You know, the truth. Oh, I got one other little thing back when I was 19. You know, on step 2, we came to believe a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Talk about insanity. My buddy told me to share this story. I think this is when I was 19. This is what it used to be like for me. I think he used to pick me up all the time, my buddy Ron. And I'll never forget, my mom was worried about me. And she goes, I can't find Willie. He's been gone for 2-3 weeks. And my buddy always knew where, this is how one alcoholic helping another, even out there. You ever have those buddies out there that will always be there for you, no matter if they're drunk and high? My buddy was there for me. And my buddy Ron, he knew kind of where I'd be, and he found me. I was passed out in an abandoned car up there, and I don't know, somewhere up on Lincoln Street or something, and out in the fields in the woods, and he found me. And my buddy Ralph told me to share this story. I don't like sharing it. Well, I guess this is incomprehensible demoralization. And Ron come and found me, and I jumped in his car. I think he had a 1976 Cutlass Supreme, real beautiful car. And I jumped in his car, And he's like, "Oh, you stupid son of a gun! Your mom's looking for you." You know, I'm just a kid, 19 now, and my Ron picked me up, and I jumped in his car. Then I was just sick and probably drinking on antabuse too. And then I was sitting in his car. Then all of a sudden I started, what the? You know, I thought I was just going through DTs or something. And my buddy Ron, then all of a sudden he's seen these things jumping off me. I was in this abandoned car, and I pulled up my pant leg, and I was covered in fleas. And my buddy Ron says, "You stupid son of a gun." So he brought me in his backyard, and he said, "Take off your freaking clothes." And he brought the hose out and hosed me down, and he gave me some flea shampoo. Scrubbing up, and Ron says, "You dumb son." He was just giving me crap, and so after I got all cleaned up, he had to bomb his car. One of those flea bombs. He had to bomb his car, and then he burnt my clothes. So is that incomprehensible? And my buddy Ralph wanted me to share that. Don't ever forget where you came from. And I'm so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous. But by the time I was 21, I was getting really, really bad. And I think I got another couple more DUIs, and ended up going to Thunderbird Treatment Center in Seattle, and then I went to Puyallup Treatment Center down there in Tacoma. This when I was 22 years old. April 6th, 1985 was the last time I took a drink, and years ago at the Washington State Cocaine Anonymous convention there, the first one they had, I was the speaker at that conference, and it was on April 6, 1997. I had 12 years, I'll never forget. Dates are important, and that's just from alcohol though. But when I was 22 years old, I surrendered. I pretty much gave up alcohol. I had cirrhosis of the liver, probably from from drinking on antabuse, and oh my God, I drank a lot, and I didn't stop, and but I'm so full of gratitude for being court-ordered here, and I went on. This is my story. I went on reefer therapy. I thought, I could just smoke weed, and yeah, this sobriety's all right. That's what I used to think. And and eventually, I quit doing cocaine too when I was 22. I remember I used to. You ever go into treatment there before, and they ask you about, you ever use this, you ever use that? And I'll never forget going there and saying, "Oh yeah, I did cocaine. I tried cocaine once." I didn't tell them I didn't stop for 5 years. and whew, I'm getting too hot. I am getting too hot. That's all right. Woo! Let's change here. There we go. Okay, 22 years old. I was still going to meetings, and I thought I had it together. And by the time I was still going to the parties, I was a designated driver, and hanging out with the same people. And one time I was rolling up a joint in the morning there, and one of my buddies, actually one of my friends is that what you call a friend? Somebody who slipped you some drugs? Shit, that's not a friend. But somebody slipped some cocaine in a joint, and I took one hit, and that's all it took, and I was off and running again. This is back in '85. I was 22, 23 years old, 24 years old, and this time I went on a run of coke here. I was it was frickin' 10 times worse, and almost killed me. This is December 21st, 1986. I frickin' surrendered. I remember sharing with one of my friends. I says, shit, I can't stop. I can't quit doing this stuff. I think I want to start drinking again. This is what I wanted to do. This is in my mind. And one of my friends, real friend, he says, no, Willie, you're bad, man. You can't drink. And I really knew that. And I forgot my buddy Walter's here. This is insanity here too. I'll never forget. It's more of my insanity. This one time every time I drink, I like to drive, and it doesn't matter whose car it is. I stole Walter's van one time. My buddy Walter, he's a Clinkett. He used to live on Lummi. And I stole his van one time. And I was going on my drug run and going 100 miles an hour. And I could hear something banging around in the back of the van. Boom, boom. And I looked back there, and it was Walter. I didn't even know him. And only thing he said is, "Where are we going?" We're going out and make another run of drugs. And this other guy too. This guy that didn't want me to drink, Bruce. This guy Bruce he was with me. I'd party if you partied with me, you were my hostage. You had to be with me. You had to do drugs. You had to drink. And my buddy Bruce was with me for about 2 weeks. He goes, "Come on, Willie, I want to go home." Oh, God. I would say, "No, take more. And I used to just ride around the reservation there and was going by Bruce's house there and shoot, he said, "Stop. And I didn't stop. So he just tuck and rolled. He rolled out of the car into the ditch. And, Bruce, he helped me. He told me don't drink. And by the time I was 24, I surrendered. I didn't quit, I surrendered. To these steps up here, I made a decision to turn my will and life over to my Creator as I understand Him. I did that while still out there. I knew about step 1, 2, 3, and I took number 3 for the first time in my life, December 21st, 1986. And I was doing so much cocaine there, I was going to frickin' die. I would die any minute. And I wanted to say something about all this drugs today. Remember how we used to say, yeah, I got some frickin' killer. I got some killer stuff. And today, this is frickin' reality. These drugs will frickin' kill you. Get clean. Work these steps into your life. And you too can be clean and sober. And, reach out and help somebody. And okay, I surrendered. I pulled up to the emergency hospital because I was doing so much drugs, man. I pulled up there. I just made this decision to just turn it over, or just whatever happens, happens. This wasn't me doing this. I pulled up to the emergency at St. Luke's Hospital there years ago, December 21st of '86, and there's, it's about midnight, and on a Friday night at the hospital, there's always cops around there hanging out. And I'll never forget, I pulled my truck right up to the emergency, the tunnel there. And then I had this big old vial of cocaine, and I was trying to stash it under my dash. And then all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I could see this cop walking down the hallway there. And he's coming at me because I think I looked kind of suspicious. And then I just jammed my stuff up there trying to hide it. And I started walking in to the hospital. And here's that cop walking towards me. And all of a sudden I could hear this boom, 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 and this vial of cocaine was rolling right to the cop. and I just, in my mind, I was so numb and high. I couldn't say nothing because I was loaded for months on end. Wouldn't sleep for weeks. And that's all I did was grab that stuff and I put it in my pocket. And he was trying to stop me. And I kept walking. And I went directly in the back there where you're not supposed to go, do not enter, or emergency. And I went right back to the doctors, and I couldn't even say nothing. I was so freaking loaded. And they asked they were sewing somebody up, somebody was getting stitched up back there or something, and they asked, what's wrong? I couldn't even talk. And I just reached in my pocket, and I just opened up this frickin', and they knew what's wrong. And that was my surrender. It was December 21st of '86. And I ended up in jail. I almost died in jail. Detox. The Creator puts people in their lives for a reason. And I'll never forget this lady jailer. I was handcuffed, and I was laying on the ground or in the drunk tank or drug tank, whatever you call it. And I was just, I would have drowned it in my freaking stuff there if that lady didn't help me and prop me up. And, I'm just so grateful for for people. There's good people out there. And, you know, then December 29th, I went to St. Joe's Recovery Center, and I worked the steps for the first time in my life. And, you know, 24 years old, and my whole life ahead of me. And since I've been sober, I've been, like Joe was saying, I'm a commercial fisherman, you know, at heart. And I used to fish up in Alaska, all over up there from southeast all the way out to the Bering Sea. And it took me a long time to get stable in my sobriety. I wanted to get high, get loaded every second of every day. And I used to just breathe in, breathe out, don't drink or drug in between. That's how simple I had to keep it. And wow, I didn't think I could do this. 30 days, I want to congratulate each and every one of you. I'd celebrate 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Woo! 6 months. Those are huge, huge milestones. And, you know, you guys are miracles. And I see what my sponsor seen in me back then. He used to say, "You're a miracle." My sponsor, Cal Conley, from the Northwest group. He used to go to all the meetings all over town, but he was my sponsor early on. And I used to cuss and swear so much, you know, and Cal Conley used to stick up for me. He goes, he didn't frickin' come in here to quit frickin' swearing, you know. He came in here to get sober and clean. And I used to go to my sponsor sometimes, and I'd say, "God dang, I feel like doing a whole bunch of coke." And he would suggest, "Well, I don't know nothing about that, but maybe you better go to CA, Cocaine Anonymous." You know, he suggested this, and I did. And I'm grateful for Cocaine Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. And getting clean was frickin' tough. I never moved away from the reservation. Every day was a battle. Every day there was drugs in front of me. Carloads of friends coming over. And I used to go to AA and NA and CA, and I was going to meetings there, and nobody believed I was clean. Nobody believed I was sober. And just like Walter used to say, he used to say that to me about me when he seen me going by, and somebody told him I was clean and sober. And he was like, "No way, no." And I kept going to meetings after meetings. I used to ride my bicycle to a meeting every morning. I used to ride the south side from my house, 15 miles. I used to chair that meeting 6:30 in the morning. I'd get up at 4:49 every morning. 4:49 acceptance. I got to meet Dr. Paul Max. And Bill W. Oh yeah, Bill W. There's this old timer named Bill W. right here, and in this community, Bill W. Any of you guys know who Bill W. is in this area? He's this old guy. He's married my cousin, and me and Bill W. used to go to meetings. We used to get drunk and go to meetings. I guess Joe wanted me to talk about Bill W. But Bill come and pick me up one time, in front of my house. I'd be sitting on, this is how I used to drink. And Bill picked me up, and we were going to meetings, but he picked me up one morning, went down to the store, got a case of beer, and shoot, I didn't even get around to res. And I drank the whole frickin' case. And Bill kicked me out and said, "Get the hell out of here. You frickin' drink too much." So Bill W. wouldn't even drink with me. But I guess at 20, 24, getting a couple years sober, I stayed out of relationships. I didn't want to frickin' screw this up, so I stayed out of frickin' relationships for 2 years. And I got married. As soon as I got a girl, I married her right away. We had a kid. My son, he just celebrated 12 years there last week. But I didn't realize if you really want to see how sick you are, get in a relationship. That's why they say stay out. Because I was so my God, I can't believe how screwed up I am. And I got married and got divorced right away, but we had a beautiful son, and I raised them kids. She got married again and got divorced, but I raised her 2 other kids too, after our marriage. And, this is what Alcoholics Anonymous taught me. And like I was saying, my son, these step 7 here was humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. My son was born. Oh, let me back up a little bit. My sponsor told me to go fishing in Alaska. Got 2.5 years sober, and he told me, yeah, he goes, you got to go to work, go fish up Alaska like you always do, and I got to go through these steps here. So my sponsor told me, he goes, yeah, you go up there, you go to work, do what you do, and I didn't think I could do it, and so I got on a boat and we went to Alaska 3-4 months. We're up in Sitka, Juneau, up in Valdez, Cook Inlet, and fishing, and everybody drank on the boat, everybody except me. And I went to meetings everywhere I went. Recovery's got to be number one, and I went to meeting after meeting, every port I went to, and I was working on my 4-step up there. And you ever have that stuff where you're never you're gonna take this crap to your grave. I'm never gonna share with anybody this deep, dark secrets. And here I am up in Alaska. My sponsor says, yeah, you're the only big book those people will see up there. And this one guy just kept pushing my button. We're up in Homer, Alaska, up in Cook Inlet, and I was working on my 4-step, still hanging on to my deepest, darkest secrets. And this guy pushed my button one too many times, and I frickin' got pissed off, and I frickin' picked this guy up like this, and I frickin' threw him overboard. It was in the wintertime. He could have died. And then my sponsor's voice was in my head, and you're the only big book those people will see. And I was thinking, holy smokes, I got some work to do. And so I was heading back home. We were up there for 3 or 4 months, and I was coming back and we freaking hit a reef on the way home, and our boat split open, the bow, steel boat, and that's why these steps are in order. If you're going to do that 1, 2, 3, 4, but our boat split open, and I freaking got down on my knees out in deck here thinking I'm going to die. And I got down on my knees, there, and I says, God, get me out of this one, and I'll fess up. That was my third step. and freaking immediately, a tugboat pulls next to us. And I was like, you freaking God. And I did do my fearless and thorough inventory. And we got patched up, and we got limped into the harbor and got patched up, and eventually got home, and I did my fourth and fifth step, sixth and seventh. We have all these defects and shortcomings, and when my son was just a young boy there, he started talking, and his first words were cussing and swearing words. He's like, frickin' dad. He's just cussing around. His first words. And so I changed. I don't talk like that anymore. And, my Creator's frickin' awesome. And I just say frickin' now, so. I went to the 1990, I went to the World Convention here in Seattle, and it was sold out. I was in line to get tickets, and they sold out. And I was going through that divorce, and I was freaking crying. I started crying because I was hurting. I didn't know how to be in a relationship. And they said, I'm sorry, we don't have no more tickets. So what do? Typical alcoholic. I went and stole somebody's badge, And I went into the meeting. And who do I sit next to up on the 300 level? Freaking Walter. And I looked over and I go, holy sh! Is that guy? I stole his van one time. I made amends. I go, yeah, I stole your van one time. And, we have to make things right. Walter's been my friend ever since, for a long time now, 36 years, 37 years. And what a freaking miracle. And, I got to be a speaker at that Washington State, and I got to speak I spoke in Hollywood one time, and spoke in Reno, I think. And, and when I'm a commercial fisherman, I kind of quit doing that stuff now, but I used to fish all up and down the coast. I would try to start meetings up in Sandpoint, Alaska, or go to meetings up in Kodiak, and carrying the message. You guys know how I am, and this is the way I am all the time. I'm always welcomed with love and acceptance, and you guys love me today. You guys sobered me up, cleaned me up, and carried the message. Oh, my little sister was killed from alcoholism. It's nobody's fault. It's just alcoholism. Alcohol kills us. And she, just down the street from where I live, or where my house was. Oh, if anybody doesn't know, my house burned down 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. And I just love all you guys. You guys picked me up, helped me. I didn't have no clothes. You guys clothed me. I had nothing. You guys helped me. Didn't have a car. Somebody gave us one. And I'm so full of gratitude for each and every one of you. Whew. My sister got killed in that car wreck there down the street from me, and I had 9 years sobriety. She was 30 years old. I was 4 years older than her. So, and she was her and I shared the same birthday, April 21st, but she was 4 years younger than me, but she got killed in that car wreck, and I was crying. It tore my heart out. I couldn't even freaking stand up. You guys helped me through that too. I remember the people that were there for me, and I got down. I was praying. You guys taught me to pray and meditate. I was praying about this, about my God, and why? Why didn't you take me? That's the way I thought. And my little sister, she was a storyteller back then, a long time ago. Oh, she was a beautiful storyteller. And I was like, why don't you take me? That's the way I thought. Me and my son were out in the woods one time, and we're walking through over in Portage Island, our sacred island over there. And there was a split tree, got hit by lightning, and the roots were up like this. We walked through there, and there was a whole bunch of frogs, wuckus, all in the roots. There was probably 1,000 of them in there. And they're all kind of, I was like, wow, yeah. And then I was going back to the pond there, or the lake in the middle of the island, and I found a big eagle feather, and I was still on my knees praying and meditating, and I was down on my knees there, and I was holding my eagle feather. Why? Had my eyes closed, and I opened my eyes, and there was a butterfly on the end of my eagle feather. And I was like, oh, okay, she's still here, and what a miracle. My higher power is freaking awesome. And I'm so full of gratitude for my sponsors, people, and my dad passed away there, and when I was up in Kodiak, Alaska, and he died on my birthday. But actually, it was my baby sister's birthday too, so he died on her birthday. I know there wasn't a day that went by he never thought about his baby girl. I was his youngest daughter, and and sharing about my son also. You know how you ever do that sobriety counter thing where you count your days? I remember counting my days one time, and I was thinking, wow, I'm coming up on 10,000 days. And I was looking at the date of my 10,000 days years ago, and 10 years ago. And I looked at it one day, and 10,000 days. It was the same day my son was celebrating 2 years. So pick a date and stick with it. And we love you and care for you, and you keep coming back. You guys are miracles. You guys are miracles. And got time yet? Or is that okay? All right. So step 12. Any of you guys? Step 12 for me is carrying this message to the alcoholic, addict who still suffers. Anybody that knows me, can you raise your hand if I prayed for you? I pray for people and love people no matter what. I see the Creator in each and every one of you. Everybody has that spirit within them. And I'm so full of gratitude. I love watching all of you get birthdays and celebrate. It's huge milestones, and I'm so full of gratitude for my life and my recovery. And I wouldn't be here without you guys. So with that, I want to thank you all for being here, and Aishka Siam.